Yes, America's greatest presidents, George Washington, Theodore Roosevelt, and Millard Fillmore. Why are you laughing? Alright, I'll face it. Millard Fillmore may be one of the most obscure presidents in American history, but he still has quite the legacy, and the two aspects of his life that I will share with you in this video will completely change your perspective on President Fillmore. Hey, don't forget that for nearly 1,000 days, somebody with the name Millard Fillmore was the most powerful person in the world. Before we go further, if you've been enjoying my U.S. presidential history content recently, please consider subscribing to the channel to join our community. And if you've already done so, thank you. Now let's jump straight into it. Millard Fillmore is often considered one of the most unknown presidents in American history. He became the 13th president in 1850 after Zachary Taylor died suddenly, but many people don't know much, if anything, about him. Unlike many other presidents, Fillmore did not lead the country during a major war or write any important documents like the Declaration of Independence. His time in office was mostly focused on trying to keep peace between the North and the South over the issue of slavery. The goal of most presidents in this time period was to delay civil war and do absolutely anything to appease both the North and the South. Unfortunately, by the time Fillmore took the reins, civil war was inevitable. Fillmore supported the Compromise of 1850, which successfully did delay the Civil War, but also made many people angry, especially because of the Fugitive Slave Act, which it included. In short, the Fugitive Slave Act stated that slaves must be returned to their owners even in free states. We'll get into that more later. After his presidency, Fillmore tried to run for president again, but failed and faded from the public eye. He also did not belong to a major political party for long, which made him less well known over time. In 1848, Fillmore was the running mate to Zachary Taylor, who both identified with the Whig Party. By the time Fillmore is next nominated for president, the Whig Party had completely dissolved. Today, when people list famous presidents, Fillmore's name is often let out or forgotten. Despite making many important decisions at one of the toughest times in American history, he doesn't get much attention. Upon becoming president, Millard Fillmore quickly supported the Compromise of 1850, which Taylor had opposed. The Compromise of 1850 was a group of laws meant to ease tensions between the North and South over slavery. It allowed California to enter the Union as a free state, which made the North happy. However, it did also include the aforementioned Fugitive Slave Act. The compromise also let new territories of Utah and New Mexico decide for themselves whether they wanted slavery using popular sovereignty. Fillmore believed that passing the compromise would keep the country together and avoid war, but he was wrong. For a short time, it did calm the disputes between the North and the South. However, Fillmore's support of the compromise really just delayed the conflict and passed it on to the next guy. Many historians say that by doing just that, kicking the can down the road, Fillmore gave short-term peace, but made the Civil War inevitable and far more likely. In the end, the Compromise of 1850 showed how divided the country was and how hard it was to find a real solution to the crisis. Let's now get into the Fugitive Slave Act. As mentioned, it was the South's satisfying side of the Compromise of 1850 and was one of the most hated laws in American history. This law required that runaway slaves be captured and returned to their owners even if they were found in free states, where slavery was illegal. It also forced ordinary citizens and officials in free states to help catch escaped slaves, whether they wanted to or not. This upset Northerners because they had no interest in pro-slavery practices. People who refused to help or tried to hide a slave could be fined or even sent to jail. The Fugitive Slave Act denied formerly enslaved people the right to a fair trial and let slave owners capture anyone they claimed as a runaway, even if that person had been free their whole life. This led to free African American people being kidnapped and sold into the slave trade. It also made divisions between the North and the South even deeper. The Fugitive Slave Act was one of many laws that led to the Civil War. The law brought the country one step closer towards that inevitable Civil War, which began a decade later. Due to the Compromise of 1850, including the Fugitive Slave Act, Fillmore was hated soon after his presidency. In 1853, he was happy to hand over the reins to 48-year-old from New Hampshire, Franklin Pierce, who did not do much better. Tune back in next week. Fillmore was despised, so much so that when he died in 1874, no one even mourned. Fillmore became president upon the death of Zachary Taylor, who was maybe poisoned by his political enemies in the South leading up to the Civil War over the Compromise of 1850? Click here to find out. Have a good weekend.